When we think of working with other people, the quality of those relationships is important. That's why the next leadership tool is about relationships. We call it bridge building, or sometimes EAE.
Now, you may recall when we talked about the communication tool that we talked about the fourth principle, which is between content and relationship, the relationship is the most important for effective communication. So I want you to imagine for a moment all the different people in your life with whom you need to have effective communication and good relationships. In your personal life, it might be your spouse, your children, your parents, loved ones, relatives, friends. And in your work life, it's probably going to include your superior, your subordinates, and your peers, clients and customers and vendors too, potentially. And so in order for you to have a really good relationship with them, you have to think about how do you go about building a strong bridge with them. Now, why do you want to build a bridge with them? Why is that important? Well, remember when we were talking about the communication tool, sometimes we have to get information across. And sometimes that information can be really difficult. Think about an employee maybe who's not performing as well as they should, and we've got to give some difficult feedback. Think about a customer we have to go talk to and talk about one of the challenges we've had, and they may not be so happy to hear that news. In order for us to convey that difficult, kind of heavy info to them, we need to build a really strong bridge. And so here in DKSH, there's 3 pillars to build really strong bridges, really strong relationships with others. So we like to refer to those 3 pillars as E, A, and E. So what do you think those E, A, and E's stand for? Well, that first E stands for empathy. What do we mean by empathy? A lot of you probably heard the term empathy. And empathy simply means taking the time to step into another person's shoes, to understand what they feel, how they feel about a situation. And what's really important here is empathy is not the same thing as sympathy. Sympathy means I feel the same thing you do. That's not necessarily going to be true. But empathy is about being able to connect with that part of the other person who's human, to really be able to see what is my own experience that's similar to theirs that I can connect with and relate to them emotionally. And this is really important because it helps people feel understood. A key tool when we're talking about increasing empathy is really effective listening. And listening not just to hear the message, but to understand the emotions, the feelings behind the message. The second pillar, A, stands for authenticity. Now, what does authenticity mean? A lot of people think authenticity means being true, being real, being honest. And yeah, on a certain surface level, that is correct. But actually, think about authenticity a little bit differently. Imagine right here, imagine a continuum. Right here is false, lying, totally untrue. We definitely don't want to be there. And over here along the continuum, well, this is true. This is honest, right here. But that's not being authentic. Authenticity is often that direction, quite some ways. Because to get from just simply being honest or true to being authentic, we have to pass through an area called vulnerability. This scares people because authenticity is about literally opening up your heart and sharing your feelings and your emotions, your fears, your worries, your concerns, your insecurities, as well as your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, your goal for the future. And especially for leaders, this can be really challenging. We want to appear on the outside like we're calm and collected, like we're confident and we have no worries and no fears. But inside, we have those worries, we have those fears. And the people around us know that because they're human too. So authenticity is about really opening up and sharing with people your hopes, your dreams, as well as your fears, your doubts, and your insecurities. And empathy and authenticity are a natural pair. When someone is authentic, the natural response is for the other person to be empathic, to have empathy for you. So empathy and authenticity really go together well. The third pillar is esteem. So what does it mean, esteem? A lot of us have heard the term self-esteem, meaning really loving yourself, but that's not what we mean here. What we mean is a slightly different usage of the word, to esteem another person. It means to respect them, to value them, but it's actually more than that. And some people might be uncomfortable with this, but it actually means to love the other person. And here's an example of this. For those of you who have children, or you have nieces or nephews, or know anyone who has a child, sometimes children don't behave perfectly. They do something naughty. And you're really upset at that behavior. But you don't love them any less. And that's really what esteem is about. It means that when I'm giving you feedback, when I'm talking about your performance, I focus on the actions you did, the behaviors that need to change. But I never lose sight of the fact that you have inherent value as a person. I esteem your value even if I dislike the behavior you did. Even if maybe I don't particularly like you as a person, I still esteem you. So empathy, authenticity, and esteem are the critical components to build a strong bridge with other people. Now, you don't have to build this bridge with everyone, but you do have to build it with anyone with whom you want to be able to have meaningful and sometimes challenging conversations. One last point. The EAE, you can actually think about that as a mathematical formula. E times A times E. And in a mathematical formula, if any one of these is zero, the entire equation is zero. So you can't have empathy and authenticity but have no esteem, or you can't have authenticity and esteem but no empathy. You have to have some of all three.
This tool has the ability to dramatically impact all relationships in your life, both personal and professional. How does the bridge building tool relate to our values? Just like with communication, relationships are at the heart of everything we do. We do see a strong connection with the value of integrity, which is based on trust, honesty, and respect. We also see the connection to the value of empowerment. Empowerment requires trust. In other words, strong relationships. And collaboration is much easier when we have strong, trustful relationships. You can also see the connection between bridge building and entrepreneurship and sustainability. To innovate and identify opportunities, we really need to have strong relationships, especially with our clients and customers. The empathy pillar of the bridge helps us listen carefully and recognize unmet needs. And for sustainability, showing esteem for the different stakeholders, including future generations, helps us build relationships that can withstand the test of time.